In around the year 1898, the British constructed a military married quarters barracks at Fort Chambray, one of the earliest such structures in their vast empire. This imposing two-story south-facing building is located in the southwestern section of the fort's enceinte and is distinguished by its use of local Globigerina limestone, Gebla Talfranca, which imbues the structure with a warm, natural hue. The architecture is characterized by a rhythmic repetition of arched doorways on the ground floor and arched openings on the upper floor, lending the facade a sense of continuity and understated elegance. While typical of buildings erected by British colonial authorities in Malta for similar purposes, this particular barracks is unique in Gozo, possessing distinct features due to its specific location and historical significance within a fortification that dates back to the period of the Knights. Despite being abandoned for decades, the building is far from the derelict state claimed by overzealous developers. Unfortunately, over the past 50 years, since the married quarters were converted into a hotel, the interior has been vandalized, and the developers have left the building to deteriorate further. As a result, it has been left in a state of neglect, slowly decaying. However, as can be seen in this video from September 2024, the structure still holds much of its integrity and can be restored, making the neglect and calls for demolition all the more disheartening. The original structure of this beautiful building remains in a remarkably good condition, a testament to the craftsmanship of the renowned Gozitan master mason, Victor Vela, who was also responsible for the construction of the Basilica of Tapinu. Originally, the fort's 1990s development plans envisaged these spacious barracks being converted into hotel rooms. Now, however, developers are seeking to demolish the only British barracks in Gozo and replace it with maisonettes for private buyers and not for tourism purposes. How is this permissible? Why have these barracks never been listed for preservation by the state? All similar barracks in Malta have been scheduled for protection. Why is Gozo's heritage being neglected by the Superintendents of Cultural Heritage? How can Gozitan members of the Maltese Parliament, along with the new EU Gozitan deputy, allow such an outcome? Where is our opposition party? Where is the Isalem local council? Why are we, the people of Gozo and Malta, standing by as a vital piece of our historical fabric is destroyed, as if it holds no significance for us? How will future generations judge us? Extracts from an article penned by Father Charles Cheney SDB, Times of Malta, Wednesday 24 July of the year 2024. Designed to accommodate married soldiers and their families, the quarters would have consisted of functional living spaces. As one can see in the video, the married quarters at Fort Chambray were quite spacious. A single bedroom, offering privacy for the couple, would likely be accompanied by a shared common area that could serve multiple purposes, such as dining and socializing. Sometimes, if the couple had a family, some of the quarters would have more than one bedroom. The layout would be efficient, reflecting the temporary, though long-term nature of the soldiers' postings. Although much of the upper coralline limestone surrounding the British quarters was removed decades ago using powerful pneumatic hammers and even explosives, it is remarkable that no cracks have appeared anywhere in the building. This is a testament to the exceptional craftsmanship and structural integrity of the original construction, which has withstood such aggressive interventions without compromising its stability. The resilience of the building further highlights its historical and architectural significance, making its preservation all the more crucial. Ascending to the first floor from the communal staircase on the west side of the barracks, One finds a similar staircase on the east side, providing balanced access to the upper level. These communal staircases, strategically located at either end of the building, were designed to ensure efficient movement between floors, serving the needs of the residents while maintaining the architectural symmetry and functionality of the structure. The developers have announced their intention to completely demolish the British Barracks, with the sole exception of this distinctive arched arcade that forms part of the building's historic facade. This architectural feature is to be dismantled and incorporated into the design of a modern apartment hotel, which they plan to build on the other side of the fort, thus removing altogether the historic context of these arches. The roof of the barracks, where a metal ladder would have been used to climb up. Another similar opening can be found on the east side of the building, ensuring multiple access routes to the rooftop. Such access points were typical in military structures of the time, providing a practical means to reach elevated areas for maintenance, surveillance, or other operational purposes. The simplicity of the metal ladder reflects the utilitarian nature of the building's design, prioritizing function over comfort. As can be seen in the video, all the ceilings on the upper floor, and consequently the roof above them, remain completely intact. No cracks or collapse anywhere. These roofs are likely coated with defen. In Malta, defen is a traditional hydraulic mortar composed of lime, crushed pottery, and water. Historically employed to waterproof roofs, it offers the added benefit of cooling by absorbing and releasing moisture. This method, invented by the Romans, is well suited to Malta's hot climate. Some of the larger apartments on this first floor benefit from a private staircase located on the north side of the building. The walls, typical of Mediterranean military architecture, would have been constructed of thick limestone, offering both durability and insulation from the extreme temperatures. High ceilings would not only add to the structural integrity, but also assist in keeping the rooms cool during the hot summer months. The floors were made of traditional Maltese stone, chosen for its durability and ease of cleaning. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, the marriage quarters were converted into a hotel, resulting in the destruction of much of the original British period furnishings. Additions such as cheap ceramic tiles were installed in the bathrooms, and some repairs were carried out using concrete sheeting, which is now deteriorating and breaking apart. Thankfully, the use of concrete was not widespread and is very limited, and can be easily replaced with the original stone fabric to restore the building's authenticity. Other private staircases are situated on the north side of the building, offering discreet access to the upper floors. Each of the larger living quarters on the first floor benefits from its own dedicated staircase, allowing for convenient and private entry. These staircases not only enhance the functionality of the building, but also reflect the thoughtful design elements incorporated into the structure, ensuring that the larger apartments had their own separate access routes, distinct from the main communal areas. This feature would have been particularly practical for families, providing them with greater privacy and ease of movement within the barracks. The furnishings within the quarters would be minimal and practical. A basic wooden bed for the couple, a small table with chairs for meals, and a wardrobe or chest for personal belongings would have been the norm. Given the modest pay of soldiers, luxury would have been sacrificed in favor of simplicity, with the primary focus on functionality. Bedding and linens would have been basic, likely utilizing cotton or wool for durability and ease of maintenance. Daylight would have filtered through small, strategically placed windows facing the south, providing sufficient natural light during the day. At night, illumination would come from oil lamps or candles, as electricity was not available in Gozo. Electricity supply from the first power plant in Gozo in St. Dominican Street in Victoria was inaugurated on August 1, 1926. Interior decorations. In keeping with the military environment, the rooms would likely have been sparse in decoration. However, personal items such as religious icons, family photographs, or simple handmade curtains might have been introduced by the families to add warmth and familiarity to the space. These personal touches would have helped counterbalance the otherwise austere surroundings. Overall atmosphere. The marriage quarters would have embodied a sense of order and discipline, consistent with the military setting. Despite the stark simplicity, the presence of families would have infused the quarters with a degree of warmth and domesticity. The juxtaposition of a disciplined military environment with the needs of family life would have shaped an atmosphere that was both pragmatic and homely, offering a sanctuary within the larger military framework. The British Marriage Quarters Barracks at Fort Chambray was constructed at the end of the 19th century, would have exemplified the practical and modest design associated with military housing during that period. This initiative was part of broader reforms aimed at improving the living conditions and welfare of soldiers. Before this period, the accommodation provided to soldiers was generally very basic, and often did not extend to family members. The introduction of married quarters was a significant step in recognizing the importance of supporting soldiers' families and stabilizing their lives, contributing to the overall effectiveness and morale of the military. It is hence noteworthy that the married quarters barracks at Fort Chambray were among the first to be built within the British Empire, not just the Maltese Islands. It should be noted that there are a large number of British barrack buildings in Malta, which have received scheduling protection. These are often of a later date than the Fort Chambray barracks, and objectively of less merit. Nonetheless, and rightly so, they have received protection, and it makes the omission of the Fort Chambray British barracks from protection even more incomprehensible. The Planning Authority Case Officer Report in PA number 0/2024 of 2007 acknowledges the historic importance of the British barracks. It said, the onset incorporates several buildings of historical importance, namely the barracks of the Knights in the central area, the bakery and gunpowder magazine from the same period at St. Paul's Bastion and the southwestern tip of the fort respectively, the British barracks at the southwestern side, and Darat Tabib at the western flank. It should be remarked that advice that the Fort Chambray British Barracks should be scheduled has been made by a number of parties over the years, but this appears to have fallen on deaf ears. Requesters have included the Superintendent of Fortresses and the Cultural and Heritage Advisory Committee. Destruction has already occurred at this site in the past. The Fort Chambray Garrison Cemetery, which was dedicated for the troops who were stationed at Fort Chambray during the British colonial period, was ruthlessly bulldozed and demolished in the mid-1980s to make way for a tourist complex. The Garrison Cemetery was full of impressive monuments, including freestanding sarcophagi in neo-classical style so favored by the British. Similar destruction has taken place on other monuments in Gozo. Such mistakes should not be repeated with the destruction of the British barracks. The proposal description for Planning Authority number 0/2454 of the year 2016 pertaining to British Barracks, Fort Chambray, Iselm, in Gozo states that the British Barracks will be dismantled. The description for Development Permission Application Planning Authority number 03000 of the 884 of the year 2023 proposes the demolition of the existing vacant British barracks. Why the term vacant was inserted is unclear. Does it mean that nobody is residing there and therefore it can be safely demolished? The barracks, as seen in this video, is still in a very salvageable state and should be preserved and restored. Clearly the intention is to demolish the building and retain and relocate the portico or arcade, as referred to in the proposal description. This so-called arcade, or, as referred to in the later application in the year 2023, as a screen, is the south-facing bold and graceful portico that forms an intrinsic and important architectural and functional element of the British Barracks. The portico provided a shaded and well-ventilated passage to the building. The proposal to detach this portico from the main building, as if it was something attached to the rest of the building, is misleading and insensitive. The military married quarters barracks at Fort Chambray should be fully restored and preserved in their entirety and original location, as they represent the only British barracks in Gozo. Demolishing this important and unique building would result in the loss of a significant part of Gozo's history. Simply salvaging the barracks' facade arches and attaching them to a modern apartment hotel is not an acceptable solution, and we must protest against this travesty, driven solely by the pursuit of profit and financial gain by developers. Approximately 1,400 individuals have formally objected to this demolition through the planning authority. The superintendents of cultural heritage must take immediate action to schedule this historic and unique building for preservation. The Cultural Heritage Act 2002 mandates, quote, "It shall be the function of the superintendents to exercise surveillance over the protection, conservation, restoration, maintenance, exhibition and accessibility of cultural property." End of quote. Failing to protect such a significant part of Gozo's architectural and cultural heritage would be a profound loss for both the island and future generations. It is imperative that this site is safeguarded from irreversible damage. These videos do not encompass the entirety of the footage captured during the September 2024 visit to the British Barracks at Fort Chambray. However, the complete footage is available and can be provided upon request if required.